So Business Pilot has transformed the way we work as a business, certainly at the sales side of things. What Business Pilot is very good at is it keeps it simple for our sales team. So even though we may have some salespeople who are slightly longer in the tooth, shall we say, they'd certainly never used a CRM before. And what this has given us now is much better ability to track what they're doing, when they're doing it with each individual customer. I think that we have definitely tightened up. And in fact, not just think, I know, because I was starting to keep my own stats before Business Pilot, and I can tell you now that our conversion rate went from 2.3 to 1.8. So 2.3 was the year prior to us getting Business Pilot, and it was 1.8 last year. From a customer point of view, reflects incredibly well, because it just reassures that customer that actually they're dealing with a very professional company where everybody has got visibility of what's going on, where, so they feel that their project is being managed, in the best possible way. When they make a call, they're getting an immediate response in terms of, an answer to their query, sort of thing. At a very basic level, if someone calls in and says, I made an inquiry a week ago and no one's been in touch with me, we can look it up on Business Pilot and we can say, oh no, actually Mrs. Smith, Ray did attempt to call you on the 27th. He should have left a message. Did you not get that, sort of thing? So at least, even at that most basic level, you can have that conversation. Just from an efficiency point of view, from a company point of view, that changes the game again as well, is that we don't have to spend several hours before we got back to that person. And that efficiency in itself, from a customer point of view, reflects incredibly well, because it just reassures that customer that actually they're dealing with a very professional company where everybody has got visibility of what's going on, where, so they feel that their project is being managed, in the best possible way. The way that we set follow-ups, and if we agree that we're going to call Mr. Smith on Friday afternoon, that we can set ourselves a follow-up to make sure that on Friday we get flagged for that. When somebody does actually get a response from us on Friday afternoon, as we promised, they're like, oh, wow, this is an amazing company. Most other companies in our industry, you're lucky to get a call back a week later on a Sunday afternoon or whatever it might be. So frequently we've got cases where we need to call back in 2 months' time, 3 months' time. In the bad old days, frankly, they would have just completely slipped through the cracks, with the best will in the world. Whereas now I can say to a customer, and I've done this already at least 3 or 4 times this week alone, I say, okay, you're not ready now, so when will be a good time for me to call back? Mid-December, shall we say, or in the new year? Yeah, that's great. And I set myself a follow-up to call mid-December in the new year, and those don't slip through the cracks anymore. And that is incredibly important to us as a company. We can analyze that data, we can see what somebody's conversion rates are like, how many leads they've had, and also not just that, but what is in their pipeline as well, because certainly I make sure that every lead that we hand out has got some sort of initial sort of value against it, just a rough guesstimate. So I can look it up and say, actually, yes, Rob has got £250,000 pipeline, but Marcus has got a £700,000 pipeline. So actually, maybe I need to get a few more leads to Rob over the next few days. So it's managing it from that point of view as well, is that I can see much better, have much better vision of what's going on with each individual salesman at any given moment in time. What this has given us now is much better ability to track what they're doing, when they're doing it with each individual customer. So it's much less likely now that customers will fall through the cracks in the way that they used to previously. A year ago, before we had this, or however long it is now we've had it, they weren't even aware that needed doing, so at least they're made aware of that now. I've sort of been running this team for 2 years now, and the chap that went before me, Paul, was just an incredible force of nature. He was one of the owners of the business, and he ran the business incredibly well, but in a really old school way, and I knew that I couldn't do it in the way that he did it. And so my success as a manager here is completely entangled with the introduction of Business Pilot, and hopefully we will continue to maximize that.